All right, so we're back here on another round the draft, season 1, episode 2. We're here. Last week we talked about the running backs. We talked about the quarterbacks last week with my guys Stu, and here I got my fellow Off the Ball Network colleague, Rob from the Football and Chill podcast, aka NFC East champ. We'll say that to the end of the year.
Yep.
That's going to be your dubious title. NFC East champion, our guy Rob. So we'll be talking about the running backs tonight, and we got a good crop of running backs in this class of 2021, and we got our guy Rob here to break it down for us, and we'll get that all going. So the biggest question mark to me is, will a running back be drafted in the first round? And I know sounds very weird because we've lived in, it's the running back position is so weird how it is at this point, where it used to be you get your bell cow running back and in the first couple picks.
Right.
And then you're solidified when you think about guys like Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, Todd Gurley, and then before that kind of came back into fray. Then I remember one year first running back was selected in the second round. And it was like that for a few years until Todd Gurley kind of brought it back. And now you're kind of seeing the shiftiness of that as well. So the biggest question, I think, in this class of 2021 running back class, will a running back be drafted in the first round?
As much as I would like there to be, and as much as I think one of them should be, I don't think it's going to happen. There's too many Jeff Hunts out there in front offices in the NFL who don't like running backs. There's one guy I think there's a very, very, it's a long shot. I can see one guy going to maybe one or two teams late in the first round. Like I'm talking like from 28 to 32, depending on if there are any trades. I don't see anybody going in the first round.
Yeah. And that's the thing where, like you said, it's just such a definitely this weird how we got to this point. Like you said, it's a bunch of Jeff Hayes running backs, absolutely, and also NFL GMs and decision makers of the league. So yeah, definitely interesting with that one. So my other big top question for you is, who are your top 5 running backs in this class?
All right. So I'm about to make a lot of people mad. I'm going to go 5-1.
Okay.
Number 5, I got Michael Carter. You guy out of North Carolina. I think he's a small back, but he runs big. He's not afraid to take on linebackers and safeties. He runs downhill. He's not afraid to put his shoulder down. I like him a lot. Number 4. Oh, wait. Oh, I did that wrong. I'm sorry. Number 5 is Trey Sermon.
Okay.
Number 5 is Trey Sermon. I apologize. He didn't get he played decent at Oklahoma in his time there. Going to Ohio State really helped him out a lot. He played great, especially late in the season. He really helped his stock. I think he's 5th on my list, but I don't think he's going to go very high. I think I see him probably 5th, between 5th and 7th round. I do think he'll get drafted. He's not going to be that high. Number 4 is Michael Carter, your boy out of North Carolina. Yeah. Again, small back, but he runs big. I like him a lot. Number 3, Najee Harris. I had him 2 at the beginning, right before I started doing all this. And the more I watched him, he's not very fast. His top speed, it's not up there with what you would want to be. If he's able to get out into the open field, he's probably going to get run down if it's late on, if there's enough field between him and the end zone. Obviously, if you're on the 15, 20-yard line, yeah, you probably get it. But if you're, 50 and beyond on your side of the field, if he gets a big hole, he's probably going to get run down. But to counter that, he is an amazing pass catcher. I like his hands a lot. And like Diedrich said, running backs have to be hybrids. They have to be catching the balls, and which is something he does very, very well. And I like his size too, 6'2", 230. That's nasty for a running back. Number 2, Travis Etienne. I had him number 1, and he didn't really fall because of anything that I didn't like. Because like Najee Harris, he's a good pass catcher. He improved that a lot his senior season rather, and his burst speed is phenomenal. The only thing I don't like about him is he tries too much to bounce it out to the outside. If the hole's not there in the middle, he'll try to make something happen on the outside, and he gets caught a lot. He gets caught quite a bit. And in the NFL, that those DNs and linebackers, they're not going to let you get away with that. Number 1, and the more I've watched this guy, the more I've fallen in love with him. You already know who I'm about to say. That's why you got that smile on your face.
Correct.
Javonte Williams. Let me tell you about my boy Javonte Williams. Oh, my God. So going into the season, and even before I started really watching film, especially on him, I didn't think he was an elusive running back. And he's not necessarily extremely elusive, but he has had the most forced broken tackles in the country. I think number 2 is Najee Harris. And I don't remember the numbers, how much they had exactly, but I know they were number 1 and 2. Yeah. Javonte Williams, he's just a beast. He's very fast. The more I have watched him, the more I've fallen in love with him. He, to me, I believe he should go in the first round, late in the first round. But again, with the way the league is now, and this isn't, the 2010 or 2000s where you got LaDainian Tomlinson, your Frank Gore's, nothing like Clinton Portis, you're going to have to wait to get a run, or the running backs are going to have to wait to be drafted.
Yeah, big time. And like you said, with Javonte, man, like you said, he's almost to Deidre's point. Essentially, he's what these the new hybrid running backs have to be, essentially, where they got to be, as far as a Swiss Army knife, they can run in between tackles, outside of tackles, catch the ball out the backfield. So he's definitely the Swiss Army knife. And I'm telling you, it's crazy of so many different NFL comparisons I've heard from him.
Yeah, and
it's just like, wow, like it's like the thing, and that's the thing with this class, and no man, even with draft prospects, everybody's really high on Javonte Williams, and that's one thing where you even quarterback class, it was some kind of like moving the goalposts for certain people, this, that, and the third, but a lot of people have definitely Javonte Williams has definitely rose in a lot of people's on their quote unquote big boards.
Yeah,
and you want to.
He's just a violent runner. He's like a lot like him and Michael Carter are kind of the same. They're not afraid to put their shoulder down. And I like it. So he's 5'10", 220. He's played great. I'm trying to find the numbers. So he forced 75 missed tackles, which led the nation. And I think Najee Harris, I know for a fact Najee Harris was second in that category, 69. So it was close. But he definitely, he surprised me a lot. He impressed me. And the more I watch, the more I love his game.
Yeah. And he's like a bowling ball. It's almost like, you one guy can get him, but you have to bring the cavalry to get Javonte down, but definitely, man. So, and I actually, I alluded to earlier, as far as we talked about your top 5 running backs, and just in this, and that's the thing with the running back, especially now in this new day and age, we always have to have some type of, NFL as far as NFL comparisons to running backs to kind of, set the stage for this draft class. So, as the guys that you talked about earlier, some NFL comparisons to your top 5s.
So Najee Harris, again, with the size, he's kind of I don't want to say a smaller Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry is something like 8 feet tall, 700 pounds, and 2% body. Like it's crazy. That's one of the guys that comes to mind. I know a lot of people have been comparing him to Matt Forte, which, I mean, if you're in the same breath as Matt Forte right now, like, you're in good company. You have a bright future ahead of you if you play things right. Javonte Williams, he's a lot like what dude from Aaron Jones out of Green Bay.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Aaron Jones, a little bit bigger than Aaron Jones, but same run style. And that's who I think is one of the teams that could possibly snag him late in the first round if they decide not to keep Aaron Jones.
Yeah, big time. And also, it also kind of also too, as we you mentioned, ideal spots for Javonte Williams. Some other running backs that you think would be kind of a good fit is your top 5 that you mentioned.
So I think if Travis Etienne is drafted into the right system, I think he's going to go somewhere in the second round. He's probably going to get drafted before Javonte Williams. If he's able to go to somewhere where they have a decent offensive line and he's already going to be a community backfield where he knows he's splitting carries, because his production his senior year did fall off after Clemson had all those guys drafted into the NFL. Fell off a little bit, but he was still a very productive running back. So if he's able to go somewhere like possibly a Tampa Bay, I could see them doing a lot of damage. He's just a faster Ronald Jones. One guy to look out for is Chuba Hubbard out of Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
I know there was a lot of talk about him last year. This year he kind of fell off, but he's still very serviceable back. I think he's going to go mid to late rounds, and I think he's somebody that a lot of people are still sleeping on.
Yeah, and you know what? Well, you think Etienne should? I thought about it too, about Etienne. Like, what if you go somewhere like San Francisco?
I mean, that all depends on how they are with, because they still have Coleman, right? They still have Tevin Coleman.
But that's something too with the running back position. It's almost like I shouldn't say this. It's almost like I'm using kind of a Jeff type of vernacular in the sense where they're expendable at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Where they're like a cheap option. Like the positions has been cheapened, unfortunately. But if you go somewhere like Tampa Bay as well, that'd be a great spot for him too.
I think him being in Tampa Bay would be phenomenal. They can release Ronald Jones, which I wouldn't like to see, but him and LeGarrette Blount, that's a hell of a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, man, that'd be frightening. But So out of all the running backs that we discussed currently, which one do you see making an immediate impact? A la Antonio Gibson, I might add.
So I'm gonna have to rock with Etienne on this one. Again, as long as he's drafted into the right situation, I think he could have the biggest impact. Again, going somewhere like a Tampa Bay, or maybe going with his the guy he faced against in the national championship last year, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire out there in Kansas City. I think those two gonna be a nice little duo. If I really want to lean towards Michael Carter just because I do like his game a lot. His ability to stop and restart his run is probably the best, if not one of the best in the country. So I think if he's paired up with a solid number one running back, I think he could do wonders. But I still think Etienne would be the best fit if you're looking for an immediate impact. If you have another solid running back to pair him up with, Travis Etienne is your guy.
Yeah, and that's one thing too. And a lot of people were saying as far as he would be great, like as far as if he was like your second back, not your feature, he would be great in that role. And then like you talk about Michael Carter, who had a pretty good Senior Bowl. Brian Flores loved him. He was, he was, grinning from ear to ear of Michael Carter. And could he go down to South Beach and do his thing there potentially, or but yeah, that's there. But But yeah, definitely ETN definitely, and that's one thing too. Once the draft and where they go, but like you said, I think ETN definitely, if he's alongside a feature back, like he would be,
yeah,
he would definitely have the an immediate impact.
And honestly, I think ETN has the ability to be a feature back once he, learns the NFL game a little bit, improves on a few things here and there. I think he has the ability to be a feature back in the league. That number one, hey, we need, it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6. We need a first down here. Go get it.
Yeah, big time, big time. So, and actually, I know you kind of alluded earlier about like Chuba Hubbard, like some like kind of a value pick as far as. So, what other projected mid or late round running back should we be looking for in this draft?
So, it's really hard to find one because after those top 5, you're looking at mainly undrafted players and some players. Trey Sermon is obviously one guy that comes to mind immediately. A lot of people are comparing him to Jonathan Williams, who was a monster of back in Carolina.
Yeah,
he's like I said, he played really well. I think his best game statistically this season was against Northwestern, who had a really good defense in the Big Ten championship game. One person who's actually not even on a lot of people's radars, and it could just be a hometown bias, is Rivers out of Fresno State. A lot of people aren't watching him because, again, Fresno State, not a lot of college recognition. A lot of games got canceled this year because of COVID. And again, it could just be because he's playing in my hometown, so I did follow him a little bit more over the last 3 or 4 years. But I think he has really decent speed. He could be a third down back, go get that 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. I don't think he'd be a good number 2 back right now. I think he has the potential. He's going to go undrafted. I think he'll get a shot with the team, but that's definitely one person to look out for. And again, Chuba Hubbard, I think if he can get back to where he was his junior year at Oklahoma State, I think he'll be a nice piece for really any team.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely huge shout out to the fighting David Carrs, Fresno State.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Chuba, and it's weird, like you said, because that's what's so weird about it, because he was really, like you said, if he would have been in the 2020 draft, he would have been probably more than likely been a top 5 running back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Out. And just the whole situation that happened at Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy. He showed signs in the beginning, like, okay, he's legit. And then once the season kind of went to crap, that's when he, like, I'm going back to Canada. Yeah. Well, I don't think he went back to Canada, but just saying, just in general, like but yeah, it's just a definitely unfortunate circumstance for him but this might be a good thing for him where he can kind of go to the right system, the right team. And because that's what you really want at this point. You just want to get to the right place where you can flourish.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for. If you're put in the right system, I mean, because you're not going to be somebody like Chuba Hubbard. You're not going to be a feature back. The position is looked down upon, compared to where it was when the LT days, Curtis Martin days. So you're not going to be that every down back getting 35, 40 carries a day. There's only one Derrick Henry in the league, and he's currently in Tennessee. So I think if you're just able to go somewhere in a good offense with a good scheme, a scheme that fits your style of running, whether it's a zone scheme, whether it's straight up the middle, you can do well. You can do very well.
Yeah, big time. And like you said, and that's the thing where it's so funny, like how, especially this position, which like we was talking about it earlier, where it's just it's a shame that it has got to this point as far as from the running backs, where we used to, be in an age where at this point you get your franchise running back. You know, this is the time where you're like, we're going to get our you know, essentially our featured back, you know, our franchise, the guy who's going to take us, you know, to the promised land, our bell cow running back. And like you said, now it may not even be a point where we may not even have a first round, you know, a running back selected in the first round. But even in that, you're still going to get good value out of these running backs that they're going to make.
All right.
And that's a beautiful thing about it too. It's like it's a gift and a curse where you look at the position now, how it is constructed in the league, where it's almost kind of expandable. But they're probably more likely, most out of everybody, they probably have the ability to plug and play, where they be able to kind of just go in and it can make an immediate impact versus other positions on the field, especially on the offensive end. So it's a gift and a curse. But I think with these guys that we mentioned today, they're going to make impacts on their team regardless of where they go, especially if they're in the right system and what have you. But this is the signs of the times. You know,
And one thing to think about too is if you're a team who has, I mean, got a lot of draft picks to kind of play around with, you can go ahead and get two of these guys. Get somebody in the second round, somebody like a Travis Etienne, a Javonte Williams, and then go get somebody like a Chuba Hubbard or a Khalil Herbert out of Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not. You could get your entire running back room in this draft and be solid. You could have a Javonte Williams who's a power back, gonna, you know, break the backs of defenses, and then go get, like I said, like a Kylan Hill out of, he went Texas Tech, one of the Texas schools, or oh no, I'm sorry, Mississippi State. Went to Mississippi State. He's your running back room could be complete with just this draft alone for the next 4 or 5 years. And then, unfortunately, as bad as it sounds, dump those ones and then do it all again once their contracts are up, because that's what they do with running backs now. Unless you're someone like an Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, or Derrick Henry, teams are going to use you while you're cheap until you're no longer cheap anymore. And your body's just completely worn down from taking that beating week in and week out, dump you to the side, and then go do it all over again.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's put a bow on episode 2 around the draft, man. So Rob, where can they find you on social media? And let's talk about that next week, Mike.
All right, y'all already know where you can find me. FNC Pod on Twitter, Football and Chill Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Next week, we are inside a week. We are 6 days away from the premiere of Cruise Island. When I tell y'all I am excited, I am excited. It's going to be a great show. I don't want to set my expectations too high, but I'm a very competitive person. I love everybody on the network, all the shows that we all have. Y'all do great shows, but the competitive person in me, the competitive side, wants to be the best show on this network. So I'm gunning for all of you. I'm gunning for Couch Coach Live. I'm gunning for Breaking the Game. I'm gunning for everybody. My goal is to make this the best show on the network. And obviously, you know, all of us grow, have all of you guys on as guests. So again, it's going to be the hottest show on the hottest network with the hottest takes. So if you find any hot takes, we're starting it next week for a specific reason, right before the league year starts. So we got free agency coming up, draft in April. So please, if you see a hot take on Twitter, you know, share it, comment, #Cruise Island so I can see it, at me, FNC Pod. If you have a hot take personally, let me know. I want to know. I stay with the hot take. So if you say something crazy, I'll be like, you might be onto something. I'll go look into it. If I agree with you, I agree with you. If not, you know, we're going to have words. But definitely go check it out. Tweet at me. Let me know your hot takes. And I'm just ready for it.
Absolutely, man. We're definitely looking forward to checking you out on what, Wednesday, right?
Wednesdays. It'll be every Wednesdays. Premiering next week, March 3rd. It'll be almost every Wednesday.
Nice, and we'll definitely stay tuned, and definitely we'll fire up the boat. We'll try to make our way in my little boat to Cruise Island.
Hey,
And
island's
yeah,
open.
man.
Island's open.
Yes, indeed.
Nice weather. It's hot.
Absolutely, and hot takes will definitely be flowing. If you've listened to any of the shows on the network, you bring the takes that make us look crazy.
I've hit on a couple so far.
Yes,
I've hit on a couple so far.
You hit the Jets beating Cleveland.
Yep.
I will give you that, even though they had no wide receiver.
Doesn't matter.
What?
Doesn't matter.
You did this in quarantine in November, so
yep.
You did this before we all knew that they won't have no running backs. It's like, but yeah,
and I almost got the next week too. I thought they were going to beat New England, and they were leading late into the third.
Yeah, you did say they were going to win 2 games, so they did win 2 games.
They did.
Right, we thought they would be 0-16, like literally. But yeah, man. So definitely appreciate you, Rob, for coming through, giving us a little running back knowledge, and man, definitely thank you once again, and man. We'll catch you next week. This has been another episode of Round the Draft presented by Couch Coach Live. Catch you next week.